It was my pleasure and privilege this morning to interview the amazing Karl Smith from the UK Hypnosis Academy. Now, Karl has a fascinating backstory, which he'll explain as we go through this video, and he offers an amazing insight into how he works with clients and specialises in trauma and post-trauma. And he's written a book about this as well, called There's No D in PTSD. That's well worth checking out. And also you should check out his YouTube channel. As Karl was saying in the interview, there's over 200 videos. I think he said 214 videos on different aspects of how he works. So as well as being a source of inquiries for him, which is a lesson to all of us hypnotists out there, it's also a resource for everybody, from people who are just looking to help themselves to people like us who are looking to improve our skills and our techniques. So I hope you enjoy this interview with Karl Smith. Good morning, Karl Smith. How are you doing?
Hello there. How are you?
Very well indeed, thanks. Very well indeed. Yeah, you have a good weekend?
Yes, it's been really interesting with the kids and stuff like that. So that's what it's like. But yeah, all good. Yeah, really good. So yeah.
Excellent stuff. Well, I'm really excited to talk to you today for two reasons. First of all, there's a lot going on, not just with the UK Hypnosis Academy, but also with Mental Wellness Coach, and especially with your YouTube channel. And that's really where I came in on things. I mean, I've been aware of your work for quite a few years now and seen some of your videos, but it's only when I started joining your YouTube lives about 3 weeks ago, I think you started those?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And I started putting this into practice in my own work, and I just noticed a quantum leap in things. And that's the main reason I'm excited to talk to you today. But just for my watcher, my viewer, who might not know you, can you just give us a thumbnail outline of who Karl Smith is, where you've come from, what you've been through, and where you are now?
Yeah, so Karl Smith, originally from Great Yarmouth, the cosmopolitan part of Norfolk. I grew up there. Wanted to get out of that hellhole town. It's not actually. It's Great Yarmouth, one of the oldest one of the biggest seaside resorts in the UK, isn't it? I wanted to get out of there because I was fed up with selling donuts to people and working as an usher in a theatre when I was a young kid. And I joined the army. I always wanted to join the army, so I joined the army. I went to all the places that your Lum Polly, your holiday representative, definitely won't send you to. So I went to all of those. Picked up, medals and stuff on the way. I decided enough was enough with some of the conflicts that I'd seen. I decided that enough was enough, and I didn't want to see what I'd been seeing before. So I joined the police, and then got myself into more trouble. So I joined the police, and then went straight onto police firearms, and then ended up going on to counter-terrorism units on firearms and stuff like that. And for those in the US, that'd be a SWAT officer. For us over here, just a counter-terrorism firearms officer on critical national infrastructure. And then I went over to become a firearms trainer. So I was teaching people how to do the firearms side of things, not necessarily driving the fast cars and shooting the things up, but technically that's what it was, doing all the tactics and element. And I was really enjoying my career. However, I was never happy in that career, as in, I wasn't into nicking people, to be brutally honest. I wasn't one of them type of coppers. I enjoyed the firearms element of it, and the donuts, I'll be brutally honest. But the thing is, and then August 4th, 2006 was a day that was going to be the worst day of my life and the best day of my life. And what happened was that I just finished work. I was still in blacks, black uniform and coveralls. I just finished on the Rangers for the day. Got home, my boy was there, the wife was there. We were just sitting there chilling away, and all of a sudden there was an almighty crash outside. I went outside. I was still in police mode because I still had my police kit on. I went into police mode, went outside. What we later found out was a drink driver had lost control of his car. He'd slammed it through next door's wall, my wall, and through into ours. And then so I ran around. And where I lived on the East Coast, where I lived in Southwold, just outside of a place called Southwold. The age group is, you're talking, it's a retirement place. So when I looked at the car, it was a Mitsubishi Colt. And when I looked inside, I couldn't see anyone. So I naturally assumed an old person had lost control of the car. But it wasn't until I got round to the driver's side that I realised that it was a young pup of 19 years old who had stolen a car a funeral of all places. He'd been at a funeral all day, been at his auntie's funeral all day, and taken his auntie's car. And he was going out to buy more drugs for the. So you can appreciate the type of family that we're dealing with here. He was buying more drugs for the wake. So yeah. Yeah, he did that, and then I went round to the driver's side, and for some strange reason, and I always tell this story, I've never known why, but I do say it because these are the things that happen in the moment of time that we do things. Is I wrapped my hand around the seat belt, thinking that was going to stop the car, but people have said, well, why would you do something as stupid as that? That's what happens when you're in a very fluid situation. You do things, and I wrapped my hand around it, and I started to help him to get out of the car as best I could. But me trying to help him get out of the car not only dislodged the brick wall, it also started a chain of events that were going to change my life. The car fell off the brick wall, hit the floor, reversed backwards. My hand was wrapped around the seatbelt still, and I was dragged underneath the car. And I always go down there to go have a look at it, but the initial report was 60 odd yards. I think it was 60 to 80 yards. They reckon they dragged it. And the reason he knew that is because my trousers, there's a picture actually on my Karl Smith hypnotherapy site. If you go to that, there's a picture of me laying there half naked with a tire track going straight through me. It's on my website. I leave that picture up there as a reminder, somebody that's been through it. And so he dragged me backwards, and then he realised he couldn't get out. It was a cul-de-sac, so he then hit me again and then took me back home. That was the only nice thing that he did to me that day.
Oh, that's very kind of him, wasn't it? Yeah.
Bent my knee and my leg round the wrong way, fractured some other bones in my body, left me with some stuff, just left me in a bad way, really. Ambulance crew turned up. I can't really remember much about the ambulance crew. I can't remember much about the accident, to be quite honest, apart from when the car hit me the second time, the pressure, my head felt like it went bright red, and then I blacked out. I can't remember much of it. But the thing is that I went into hospital, all that type of stuff, plaster cast on my legs and stuff like that, plaster cast on my arms, thumbs and all that lot. They were all bolted back into place, or pinned back into place, I should say. Yeah. And then the progress began of fixing my body physically. Yeah. That started to go quite well physically. I was all right. I was fit anyway due to my old roles, army and then being physically fit. I started fixing myself quite quickly. But that's when the trouble really started, when they started weaning me off of the tramadol. And anyone who doesn't know anything about tramadol, I would strongly go have a look at that. Tramadol, pregabalin, and what was the other one as well? There was a tramadol. Tramadol was the biggest instigator, though. As they started weaning me off of the tramadol, that's when the emotional impact of my life was then going to come up, and that's why I discuss it as life's like a big pressure cooker, really. But the thing is that everything that it was then going to unleash what some people call post-trauma or post-traumatic stress disorder, or unless you're really, really anal, if some people are calling it CHPTSD, DD, whatever it is this week. But on the same token, PTSD is merely anxiety on steroids. That's all it is. As a reframe for anyone who's got anything about it, or it's anxiety on steroids. That's stress on steroids, if you want. That's what I had. And it was causing enormous alcohol abuse. It was, they were coping strategies. As I was coming off tramadol, I couldn't figure out why I was doing what I was doing. So then I used alcohol to then suppress, and then it went down another road. So I started then going down another road, another tunnel. So I understand it. When people talk to me about, I did this and I did that, and then I did this and I did that, I get it, because you're looking, because unless you're involved in this type of stuff, change work, and you are a member of the public, you don't know. So then you go ferreting around looking for your own thing, which then turned me into a little bit of a, alcoholic in some ways. And then I become drug dependent because there was one instant that really that we realized that something was going wrong, is that when I couldn't find my tramadol one day, I became that obsessed that I got a knife out and cut the bottom of a sofa. My ex-wife spoke about this the other day, funny enough. I cut the bottom of the sofa off, trying to find if they'd slipped down the side. I actually cut the fabric at the bottom to try and find them. That's the point when you realise that you're dependent on this type of stuff.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
And so I went through a process, and then eventually it just went down there, really. So yeah.
Okay. And so where did hypnosis come into all of this?
So I looked at EFT initially. We were looking at EFT, and then what happened?
Emotional freedom technique.
Sorry, yeah. If I'm talking jargon, it's like my police time. Emotional freedom techniques, and then that's an acupressure type thing or a pattern interrupt. But it's about you to make you think that. So the idea is that while you're tapping these points and doing what you're doing, the idea is that it's self hypnosis in some ways. If you tell yourself something, you become it. So emotional freedom techniques. I was using that. And then that led me down a path. A police officer said to me, have you ever tried? And then the police sent me to counselling. That made it worse. I went to CBT, cognitive behavioural torture. That made it suicidal. So then somebody said hypnosis. Now, the reason I say I'm Great Yarmouth at the beginning is because Great Yarmouth is a big holiday resort. And the only point of reference I had for hypnosis was watching stage hypnosis. And so when I was a kid, this is where my journey started. And I never realized this until a couple of years ago, that my journey started by watching a stage hypnotist who's still going nowadays, called Ken Webster. And Ken Webster in Blackpool at the Horseshoe. I think he's still running it now. But the thing is that, he's up there. And I used to go back every week. And I used to go watch him. And I didn't realize, I was like, this can't be true. And then I'd be talking to the people afterwards. And I really started ferreting around.
It's all going in there, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. and then all of a sudden, I just started to realize, that when you're at school, shut up, hypnosis, you ain't gonna learn that shit. There's no such thing as hypnosis, blah, blah, blah. So as a young pup, you follow it, and I joined the army and forgot about it. Yeah. I was in the army. I used to go watch the stage hypnosis shows, and it still had a little bit of ignition in my head. And then all of a sudden, this happened, and somebody said hypnosis. I then go to my point of reference of square eggs, acting silly. But then what happened then is that somebody said, no, I'll educate you. I'll show you what it is. And this is the key point about the education. He educated me about what hypnosis really is, and took me on a journey and pulled out a pin, and that pin just keeps fizzing. It just doesn't stop. The grenade keeps fizzing on. And so when I say at the very beginning of this, the worst day of my life was the best day of my life, the reason I say that is because I've now traveled and taught in over 40 countries. I've worked on national TV. I've been on TV programs. I've done radio stuff. I get to help people daily, and I get, and I wrote a book. The thick boy of the class wrote a book, and that's the thing is,
I've read it. I've read it. It's a good read. It's because it's not just your views in there as well.
No.
It's experiences of other people. It's a damn good read.
Yeah. The idea of the book, there is no D in PTSD. A is a reframe on post-trauma, that post-traumatic stress. There is no disorder in post-trauma. No. It's just a name for a book. But the key thing about this is that I only ever wrote it for crew members. So I when I was in the police, I wrote it because I wanted to have one of these books in every police station. So that officers could read it, or soldiers could read it and go, oh, there are other options. These are the pros, these are the cons. That was the idea behind the book. To be quite honest, when we stuck it on Amazon, a lot of people that were qualified and stuff critiqued it. And then I thought, why did we put it on bloody Amazon? Because I never wanted that book to be like that. It's there to support and help people, to show people my story, but to show people that there is a goal. You can get there with the right things, and these tools, if you use them right, are the ways to do it. That was the only reason why I did it. My next book that I'm writing at the moment, obviously I've learned some valuable lessons from that. But the thing is that the worst day of my life actually became the best day of my life. I was able to leave the police, turn this into a full-time career, and I just love, eat, breathe, shitless stuff now. So it's what I do.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because one thing I always tell my clients is that there's really only two important days in your life, and that's the day you're born and the day you find out why. Yeah. And that illustrates it there, doesn't it? Or everything you've been through brought you up to that point. Yeah. And then all of a sudden your life just goes on a completely different path.
It is quite weird, really, when I actually I have reached out to Ken a couple of times, but I have found it weird that 14-year-old boy who wanted to know more, who wanted to learn more, who got autographs off of Ken Webster, and just wanted to know more, and was like the little irritating little shit at the side of the stage. That dream was there. I never forget that dream was there. 14, 15 years old, of I wanted to learn more, but then all of a sudden life got in the way, and and teachers without creativity, I mean that respectfully to teachers out there, but it was get yourself a 9-to-5 job, son, in Asda.
That's it. Proper job. Yeah.
So that type of stuff there. Whereas I wanted to I wanted to go into psychology, but then I was told you're too thick. You need to be a doctor, and this is why, you see, I was the shit kid in the class. Once I got to that point there, I was in the army. I was just going in the army. I didn't care. But the thing is that basic psychology was always there. And one of the first books I ever bought was by Rupert Sheldrake. I was reading that in the army, and still, as a young pup in the army, I was still reading that stuff. But then it just died off, and then the accident happened, and then bang, I'm here.
It's funny. All of these things that we go through prepare us for where we are now. They brought us to where we are now. And your little story about Ken there, the stage hypnotist, reminds me of kind of what got me into this. Because when I was about 18, I was in W.H. Smith's in my local town, and I saw this book coming out of it's a book by a guy called Whitley Strieber, and it's about his potential alien abduction experiences. He doesn't actually regard them as aliens. He regards it as some kind of other intelligence or something like this. And of course, I know you live close to Woodbridge, which was the site of...
I'm actually there now.
Yes, I know that's where you're based, isn't it?
Yeah. So
which is the site of the UK's Roswell, the most prolific, well-reported UFO event.
Yeah. So the UK Roswell happened about a mile away from this office. Because I mentioned to you the other day, Chuck, they use this office when they come over. They use my facilities. Yeah, that's a long story, but
no, it's funny because I picked that book up, and the bit I found most interesting in it was where Whitley Strieber, he's quite a prolific horror author in and of himself. He's written The Wolfen and various other ones that have been made into films. But he went down a path of hypnosis. He was hypnotized by a guy called Bud Hopkins.
Right.
And I think now we regard hypnosis as not a reliable tool in that sort of circumstance because, memory can be twisted and distorted and this sort of thing. But I remember being interested in hypnosis, and just like you, it was just kind of like a passing thing. It was, that's cool, that's interesting, put it away behind me. And then years later, I came back to it.
Yeah.
So you started learning about all of this. You started training. What led you into actually becoming a trainer yourself?
Well, when I was in the police, I'd already qualified to become a teacher. I'd already done what is it? It was Ed type thing, level 5 now, whatever it is, petals, kettles, whatever they call it now, I don't know. But adult education. So I needed that to be in firearms. Then I got a specialist niche. I've been involved in every police shooting, death in custody since Jean-Charles de Mendes in about 2005, really. So I've been involved in most of the afterfalls of. If you see a police shooting or a terrorist incident, even today, I'm involved. Well, not so much now, but until about 4 or 5 years ago, I was heavily involved in all of the big major incidents that you see in the UK.
You were in that scene, yeah,
which is called post-incident. So I became a little bit of a niche expert on that because I knew so much about certain things. So I became like a subject matter expert, for want of a better way, SME type thing. And so I did that. And then when I realised that hypnosis, how easy hypnosis is, and how overcomplicated people love to make it. That's the reason why you see me doing that when I'm on my YouTube channel. The reason I am like I am is because it's about breaking it down into its component parts. And I think that comes from firearms training when you're not micromanaging, because that's the wrong word, but you're having to watch and adjust and just consistently watch people, the way they're acting. Like with firearms, if their arms are out like this, they're a bigger target. Whereas if you tuck your arms in, you're always watching for that type of stuff when you're trying to work with people. So when I'm working on YouTube, that's what I'm trying to do, is to show them those little tweaks, those little things that you can do there.
So the differences
I just love that. I just fell in love with it, really.
Yeah. It's funny because I just preparing for this interview this morning, I thought, well, I ought to do a bit of research as I'm going to interview the great Karl Smith this morning. So I just Googled a few things, and I just tried to pick up on people's perceptions of your particular style, and certain words came out, words like direct and Almanian. Is that even a word? It sounds like some country.
It's Almanian. I think I don't know. Actually, I think I'm out. See, the thing is the reason I always say Almanian is because people say they're Ericksonian. and I'm
Yeah.
the complete opposite end of the spectrum. To be honest, I don't really. And
Yeah.
this is going to irritate people.
Yeah.
I appreciate his work, and I appreciate what he did and how he may influence people. But for me, he holds no influence to me
Yeah.
whatsoever.
But I see people using these descriptors around, saying, direct, authoritative, and all this sort of thing. And I can agree with that to a certain extent. But having followed some of your work in a lot more detail in the last few weeks, the things that stand out for me is first of all, your passion for the work that you do. And that's compassion as well, compassion for people who are suffering. As well as that, this confidence, this sort of massive, unstoppable confidence that you've got, which you instill into other people, whether it's your clients you're working with, or whether it's people like me who you're training, this sort of thing. That's very, very infectious. But also your congruence. You're so aligned. It's like you're a stick of Blackpool rock and break you in half, and it'd be the same fucking message all the way down through you. But where does that passion come from? I mean, you've just described the background of fast cars and blowing things up and people being shot. Where does that compassion come from in your life, do you think?
Well, I think let me just start off right. When I first started, I'm like some poor individuals as well, right? Is that you're always looking for the badge, and you're always looking for, if I do a 10-month course, it's far better than doing a 5-day course, right? No, because that's completely wrong. What I get sick and tired of is the abuse that we see of people, especially with these badges, especially with people that do 10-month courses that promise the known world, then dump them at the very end. I'm fed up with these badges that stifle creativity.
Yeah.
This is a powerful human thing that we've got, yet badges in England, because nobody cares about the badges outside of England. It's a very island mentality some people have. But outside of England, nobody gives a crap about your badge. Nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. Nobody gives a monkey's rat's ass. It's only people on islands or in little pockets that really appreciate it. Nobody cares, right? And I've got to travel the world and work on big TV shows in Hollywood, all of that, and nobody gives a shit about the badge. They want my confidence. They want that. Now, the thing is that when I first started out, I did a 10-month course. When I did that 10-month course, I wish I had it to hand. I think it's just in there, but there's a certificate. And on the certificate, what happened was I found out the wife owned the training company, Chrysalis, and another member of the family had the accreditation. And I just said, I'm not paying your husband or partner or whatever it was to go on there. It's all on company's house. But the thing is that I'm not paying for you. I'm not paying that. This is all false. This isn't even legal. It isn't right. And they sent me a certificate saying this person has completed the course, but is not qualified and is not allowed to hang this up on the wall, and is not allowed to show people, and is not allowed, and that's what it says. Genuinely does. It's right on the other side of this door. I've only got 3 certificates up. I've only got 3 certificates in my office. One is for firewalking. The firewalking instructor that I did. That was a brilliant course. The other one is EMDR, because I tell people I'm doing EMDR, but they always get hypnosis, because EMDR is only bilateral stimulation. It's something that Shapiro took off of Grindler and bastardized and made bigger than Ben-Hur just for just to appease doctors. And the other one is that certificate that says I'm not allowed to practice. And the reason I'm like the way I am is because what they tried to do is kill a passion. They tried to kill somebody that was a little boy that wanted to learn and wanted to do more, and they wanted to kill that. And I said, I am not fucking going that way. I'm doing this. And then I soon realized,
you can swear on here, incidentally. I don't want to complain.
The thing is that on that certificate it says it says not to be shown to the public, and it literally is. Just 2 seconds. It literally is the only 3 certificates. People don't come to me for certificates. I could give you certificates all day long, right? But what it does is on there. Karl Smith, ordered by Chrysalis, a training company in England. The above named person attended the class offered by the course. This is not a certificate of course completion. This certificate does not validate the above named person as a professional therapist or counsellor. Bearing in mind, over a 10-month course, I got best student every day. Right? It should not be used in course credit or for accreditation or prior learning. It should not be used in professional practice or displayed to a client. It is the only hypnosis certificate that I have up on my wall.
Wonderful.
Only certificate I have. So the reason that you see me passionate about this is that when people like that, with made up organized.
Oh, we've frozen. Nope, we froze there for a sec.
So
I'll edit that bit out. I'll edit that out.
It's right, and he lasted a second.
Yeah.
But my point is that when with, especially with things like this, when people treat people like that, and there is a passion, instead of developing and educating them, they try to stifle it. And what they picked up on me was, you're not stifling it. It's as simple as that. You're not killing a flame. They wanted to do it, and now what I do is that their students, I tend to pick up most of their students and now reteach them, which is a blessing. So when every time somebody gives me a negative, I try to reframe it and turn it into a positive.
I was going to say that. I mean, talking about the other experience you had, when that guy dragged you down the road, you've reframed that, and I'm just wondering how much that experience with that training provider has enabled you to achieve everything you've done since then. Maybe you owe them a vote of thanks.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you see, and that's why I said at the very beginning, the worst day of my life is the best day of my life. So I always look at something when it's negative, how can I reframe it and what's going to be the best? Sometimes we have to go down the little chisel path. We have to go down that path to figure out where that pot of gold is. But some, like the car accident, I wouldn't have traveled literally around the globe, literally flown around the globe teaching. And Hawaii on Waikiki Beach, stood there with a bottle of Budweiser, teaching people how to do hand hypnosis inductions. Been in Los Angeles, worked in Hollywood, worked in Las Vegas, worked with pop stars, worked with actors. All because of that tragic set of incidents. I've reframed it and did it that way with this company as well. And the reason I show this off is to show that when at the time it was like I was dejected, but then I thought, coming back to the teacher thing, I can do this, and I can do it better than what they're doing. In fact, while I was on the course, I became better than the trainer, and that's a big statement, isn't it? But when you're sitting there telling the trainer that they've got the Elman induction wrong, and then and you're showing them in the Elman book, you've got it wrong, and then you're getting yellow cards, warnings, because you're dropping people too quickly into hypnosis.
Yes, oh, really? Right.
We don't do that. It's 15 minutes to do a hypnosis.
Yeah, there is a speed limit, Yeah.
But, I've just done it in less than 2 minutes. What's your problem? It's too fast. That's not proper hypnosis. Wake them up and do a lovely PMR with them. Yeah, but what do you got hypnosis? That's not hypnosis. And when you're sitting there like that and you're banging your head against a wall, I was a police officer at the time when I was doing my course, and I was always polite and courteous but there's a ways and means if you want to speak to a trainer. Being a trainer, that you approach them and say, I noticed something earlier and it wasn't wrong. So it was always behind closed doors that I'd mention, just to let you know that that's not that part there. And I'd already been in touch with that Larry and Cheryl Elman. I already knew that then. So I knew the Elmans, but then she's sitting there going, no, you're wrong. And they're wrong. Fucking hell. The son of is wrong, is he? And I love to help people. I love to support people because I never want people to go through that what this company did in England. And what on my course, I can't speak for other courses, but I can speak just in case they want to come for me again. On my course, there was 33 people on it, and only 2 people out of that course actually made it. There's no argument. I love that.
Best form of revenge is success, isn't it?
That's the thing. I don't often bring that out, but it's a little dig. But for those people who are starting out, your career has got nothing to do with this.
Exactly.
Nothing to do with certificates.
Yeah.
As soon as that's hung on a wall, it's out of date.
Yeah. Well, I don't have anything hanging on my wall. I mean, that's because I don't work from a fixed office. I mean, at the moment, I'm in a community centre I use, but I'll work wherever. I'll work in the street if I have to. I've worked in church halls, people's houses. I've never wanted to be tied to any one particular place. And so, I don't have anywhere to hang certificates anyway. So no, I'm like you, they don't have much meaning for me. But this confidence that you've got. Now, I'm interested in how different people regard confidence. Is confidence something you've always had throughout your life, or is it something that developed over time? Or
no, I've had to develop it. When I first became a firearms instructor, I'll never forget the first lesson I gave, funny enough, was the lesson that I was later to become a subject matter expert in. It's called post-incident procedures. What happens after a firearms incident, or what happens in death in custody or a serious incident. And I went up there, it's a 5-hour lesson, and I'll tell you now, right, all the way through it, I was just begging the minutes just to go. I was flicking the slides and just begging, hoping it would just die. I was just hoping, you know, because they gave me the most horrid lesson to give. Not a pistol lesson, not about stripping a Glock, not stripping a Glock 17 down and showing the component parts. No, we'll give you a 5-hour lesson that nobody wants to deliver because it's a minefield, and we'll give it to the new boy because apparently he's been involved in one police shooting, so that's it.
Right.
And, yeah, they did that, and I hated every moment in being in front of people. So you have to develop, same as working with this stuff. You know, it's about being confident. And I think what happens is you learn and learn and learn. And I think what I need to get across is that when we first start, we want it to be perfect. We want our makeup to be perfect. We want our, not my makeup, but, you know, but the thing is that we want our makeup to be perfect, our hair to be perfect, everything, the background, everything, the lighting, everything. But, oh my God, there's a dog barking in the background. What are we going to do? When actually get to a point of realizing that nobody actually gives a shit. And what it is the content that people want, not the bits and bobs. And actually, it's like a box of Pringles. And anyone who's thinking about starting a YouTube channel, doing their first ever Facebook Live, go cock it up, make a right pig ear of it.
Mistakes. Yeah.
Make the mistakes and let the wheel fall off. Like that.
Yeah.
Like simple. You could not time that better, could you? You could not time that better. Little mistakes like that, like my training manager calling me halfway through. Now, normally you'd see people go, oh no. Now, the only reason I'm doing it is politeness because it's your video, but on the same token, he is actually ringing right now. But the thing is, he couldn't have timed that better, could you? But the thing is about people wanting perfection, just cock it right up.
Yeah, make some mistakes.
Just you know, little things like a little while ago we were talking and we got a little blip in the video. I'd leave that in there and people expect that nowadays, don't they?
Yeah, no, I was joking because, as you know, I trained with Mike Mandel and Chris Thompson, and in their podcast, one of their little skits they do, they're like, oh, we'll edit that out, and of course they never do. So
yeah. Who are this Chris and Mike you speak of? They're
never heard of them. Never heard of them. Yes, yeah.
But no, it's you know, it's the end of the day. It's about people want perfection first. You haven't. You've just got to keep working at it, and then eventually.
I'm a big believer in the principle of ready, fire, aim.
Yeah.
You've got to do a bit of preparation. So, you know, if you're doing your YouTube channel or whatever it is, you've got to get a certain amount of equipment and get something behind you and have an idea of what you want to talk about. But then, you can write it all out. You can write yourself a million scripts. I don't want to get you fired up on that word just yet. And then you never do it. So you just got to get it out there, put it up, and nobody looks at your first stuff anyway, do they? Let's face it. No. But leave it up there because I think it's a good thing to go back years later. And I did it in previous jobs, but I haven't actually done it enough in this. So that's one of the reasons why I was very keen to engage in one of your latest projects, which is the evolution of your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And, you know, when somebody says, oh, I'm monetizing my YouTube channel, I think there's an inevitable outcry from some people. Oh, he's charging us money and all this.
I've had that.
Which is, I think it's very disappointing because I think this is an opportunity for people, and the way you stage it, I mean, you can tell us a little bit more about it in a minute, but I think the way you staged it gives people choice and opportunity. So do you want to just give us a quick run through on how that works?
So the thing is that for the past, I don't know, 5-6 years, I've had my YouTube running, and I found that over the time that I give an enormous amount of free, and people keep saying it's about freedom, you know, you give for free. So I thought to myself, well, if I'm going to do this most nights of a week and help people out, you know, let's exchange energy. You know, at the end of the day, I'm not asking for much. You know, it's $5 minimum up to what, $90 for the mentoring as well. For, you know, for the support during a month. And the key thing is that I've given away for free, and then all of a sudden I've said, look, you know, $5 minimum, and it's unbelievable backlash about, oh, you've just been preying on us. Yeah, of course I have for 5 years. No,
really, you mean, yeah.
This is a business. You know, when you get it, it's a business, and people who don't get business won't self-invest. So the thing is that, funny enough, around you now and in about another 10 minutes time, there is a painter and decorator that's going to turn up, unless he's here already. But the thing is that I've got a new studio being built. There's new cameras, new lights, this backdrop. Most people think that this is a thing off of you know, a backdrop.
Yeah, virtual. Yeah.
If I do that, you can see.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what it is there. Look, so there's the wall there,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
the side there, but that there falls as a nice backdrop, so I can stand back here. These little
Yeah.
things like this, that they just help, you know, they're little things that you can go out and do, and they take investment and stuff like that, like the lighting systems, all that type of stuff. I've just gone and bought a new camera today called a Mevo. It's called a Mevo Start. Anyone just starting out, don't buy tons and tons of material. Go look at what's called a Mevo Start, MEVO Start.
All
Really
right,
good
cool.
kit. It'll cost you 300 quid, but on the same token, it'll save you thousands of pounds in crap in future. You know, the only thing you need really for a good YouTube channel is a good camera and a good microphone. Always remember the microphone. The microphone's the most important thing.
Yeah.
But I think the key thing about that is about getting a message across, and it's exchange. You know, I'm giving an enormous amount of information out, and people just don't respect that. And the key thing is that when I'm investing in anything, it's not how much is it going to cost me, it's how much is it going to make me. That's my mindset.
Yes.
Whereas some people say, well, you want $5 a month now. That's $5.
Yeah, it's just poverty thinking, isn't it? Poverty mindset.
Yeah, that's
Really
the poverty mindset. And what I've received over the past couple of days is that I'm unsubscribing, this, that, and the other. I'll still do free stuff, but for those people that are behind the scenes, there's more. It's as simple as a simple business.
Yeah. Well, I signed up at the highest level because you know, to get a consultation with you, you know, once a month.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't buy that elsewhere.
Oh no, people just don't see that. You
know, I know I'm
I'm
going to get a kicking, but I'm quite open to that. That's what I'm paying for. That's what I'm expecting to get.
Yeah.
But where else can you get that value? I don't know anybody else in this business who has that kind of makes themselves available on that level. You know, around the world. I'm sure there must be someone. So I don't know anybody. So no. I'd advise anybody to to get onto your channel, to subscribe, because I mean, how many videos have you got up there? You got 180 videos or something like that?
No, it's 214 now.
Is it really? Bloody hell.
214 videos, a step by step. You go back to my first ever ones that are a big shower of shit. They're really bad. The sound's bad. The video's bad. But I've left them up there because it comes back to what we said a minute ago. When we did them, we were like, oh, this is really good. Now you look back and go, oh my God. You know, I wouldn't even go out. There's a mixing unit there. There's cameras. There's microphone. I'm a Rode slut, by the way. I love Rode. So I'm a Rode slut. So everything's Rode. I've got the NTG one there. I've got an NT one over here somewhere. So a big shotgun mic. I've got the like the podcast mics. There's loads of mics. I've got the lapel mics and all the video mics, all that type of stuff. I've got all that. And it's crucial that that you build that up. You build that up. On the same token, it all costs money. It all looks pretty, but on the same token,
it does. And when people are starting off, sometimes just getting a 30 or 40 quid Lavalier microphone, that's money to them. And with a 3.5 jack. So if you get what's got a 3.5 mil jack, so whatever yours is, a Samsung or an iPhone, stick it in there. 3.5 mil jack. Put your headphones in there. Put your microphone there. Put your microphone that you get with this bloody thing in there. La 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 la. That's it.
You are now on air. You can sit there and do it.
It's amazing the way that, technology has moved us on. And I just want to before we finish, I just want to come on to that, because there's a lot of advances happening in all kinds of therapy, and a lot of people are talking about automated systems, and I know you've got a chatbot system on your website, but there's talks now about therapy being moved to AI and that sort of thing. Have you got any views on how that might work?
I still don't think that you're ever going to beat a one-to-one human interaction. I don't think you're going to do it. And as for the AI development, I know some people in California that are developing stuff on this side of things, and I think that I still personally think that people go do mindfulness, they go do this, they go do that, they go do this, they go do that, and that's all well and good, right? But and Zoom's different, because I can still interact and get a message across and hypnotize people via a screen, because it's still that personal touch. But with these other things, I still think that you need a third person intervention all the time, because you can go away and do all this flowery stuff. You can go do all the stuff that you think is going to do, but I just don't think it cuts the mustard. I don't think it does. I don't think it does as powerful as another human being helping and supporting with that intervention. I think you're always going to need humans to do that. There's no way a computer can have that delivery or that knowledge of when to go now.
So, not in our lifetime anyway.
No.
But what else do you, I mean, just crystal ball time now. Any interesting developments that you see in the world of hypnosis and help generally, which are going to be coming up? Anything that you've got your eye on?
Well, well, one thing first is that I travel the world doing all the conferences. There's only one conference that I would suggest that anyone goes to, and this is where the development comes from, where you answered your question. Hypnothoughts Live. Hypnothoughts Live is a great way of going development. But what we have to remember is that nothing is new. Nothing is new in this profession, right? So it's when somebody comes out with a brand new, oh, I've just gone out and done this therapy, this brand new therapy, and I've learned this and I've learned that. I'm like, just tell me what it is. And then they go, this, and this. And I go, oh, well, that's a spin. That's this. That's Gil Boyne's work. And that's that. Right. So we know what that is. It's just repackaged again. I don't think, and it's never changed since Mesmer, you know, it's not changed since Braid, right? The fundamentals of hypnosis haven't changed. Nothing new's coming. All right. The only thing that's happening is repackaging and smiley faces. And that's my job. My job is to show the core fundamentals of hypnosis. Hypnosis is easy, made hard by fucking idiots. Yeah. That's always what I've always maintained.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably a really good place to leave it. And just I mean, you've got the backdrop behind you. You're running training courses this year. You've got one starting in July, I think.
Yeah, one in July. Yeah, there's one in July coming up. There's a diploma coming up with me. Okay. So that's 5 days with me in July with a minimum of 12 months mentoring. And that means every week we do work and stuff like that. So we've got that mentoring there. We're online. And is that for people who are completely new to hypnosis or people who've got... I've got consultant surgeons. I have consultant surgeons coming on my courses all the way through to people who know. I've got people that have done X, Y, and Z courses coming to me to be retrained and stuff like that. There is my online academy. So if you go to that website and then you can go on to my online academy and do that. There's some online stuff there. So all good.
Excellent stuff. Well, Karl, thank you very much for your time today. Is there anything else you want to add before we go? Or
no, just anyone who's new out there or uncertain, just keep going for it. Practice, 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 practice. And if you do anything for free, it's not free. Learn from it. Always learn from mistakes or ideas and concepts and stuff like that. You'll always learn. It's just one big thing until eventually you'll start to learn to trust that. And then that's when it'll happen. Just keep doing it. Practice. And ignore the bullshit. Ignore the fucking waffle and the crap that comes with all this stuff.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thank you very much. And we managed to get through the whole thing without you explaining about scripts, but we'll cover that one next time.
We'll do it another day.
Yeah. Listen, thank you very much for your time today. And I think you're online tonight, aren't you, on the live?
Yeah, I'm going live tonight, I believe. Yeah. So yeah.
I will look forward to catching up with you then. I'll encourage everybody else to do that as well. Cool. And we'll see you soon. All right.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks very much.
You too. Take care now. All the best. Bye-bye.